What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10. Then we build them together. Now today we're going to be talking about the Path of the Storm Herald Barbarian, which is quite cool. This is a very unique subclass, and so if you haven't heard of this or seen this one before, it's definitely worth a look. So that's what we're going to do today. So of course, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch this channel are actually not subscribed, so please don't be one of those people. Go ahead, click that button. It takes half a second, and go ahead and click the bell as well and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. And finally, leave me a comment down below letting me know what your favorite type of weather is. This is a weather-based subclass out of all things, which is awesome. And so let me know what your favorite type of weather is. So the Storm Herald Barbarian was introduced in Xanathar's Guide to Everything and offers a very different way of playing the Barbarian. It's actually more of a combination with a Paladin in some ways, as far as having an aura. And this allows you to have some really cool healing powers, some extra damage dealing, all that kind of thing. And so it plays very differently from any other Barbarian, but it's really, really cool. So let's go ahead and see what all we get. So at third level, we're going to get Storm Aura, and so this is our main ability, and basically everything that we get past this is just going to build on this ability and make it even better. So it's hard to rank this ability individually just because it is going to be being added on to as we go, but we'll do our best and we'll see what happens. So when you take this subclass at third level, you get to choose one of 3 different types of weather, or technically types of places. And so this will give you a different benefit depending on which one you take. Now this can be switched out whenever you gain a new level in this class, but it is you are locked in until you level up. So just be really careful with what you choose. Each of them gives you a 10-foot aura that can give a different benefit, and you activate it on your bonus action, and on subsequent turns you can use your bonus action to activate it again. For now, it is only an active effect that you have to activate, but later we also get some passive effects as well, so we'll get to those here in just a little bit. So let's see what each of those do. So the desert, you get to deal a little bit of fire damage to all the creatures in your aura. It ranges from 2 damage at level 3 all the way up to 6 damage at level 20. So depending on how many enemies are in your 10-foot radius, you could do some okay damage, I guess, but by the time you're level 20, doing 6 damage, no thank you. C allows you to force 1 creature in your aura to make a dexterity saving throw, and then it takes 1d6 lightning damage on a failure, or half as much on a success. This does scale all the way up to 4d6, which is pretty great by level 20. So this is a great bonus action that you can just keep using over and over and over. There's no limit to how much you can do this. As long as you're raging, you can just keep doing this, which is really, really cool. But yeah, 46 on a bonus action, pretty good. Finally, Tundra. You can give each creature of your choice 2 temporary HP, and this will go up to 6 by the time we're level 20. Again, that's not much temporary HP. I mean, any bit of temporary HP is great, but everybody has to be within 10 feet of you when you do this. And I guess it depends on what type of build you're going for as to whether or not you're going to need your bonus action every turn. So if you don't have a great use of your bonus action, C is going to be your best one, and I still think C is going to be your best one no matter what. If you don't have a use for your bonus action every turn, and you just want to activate this once, and say you're running like Polearm Master, then maybe the Tundra one is better. I personally think C is the best one here, although it only affects 1 creature, while the desert affects a bunch of creatures. Yeah, I still think C is going to be your best bet here. Overall, I think this is an 8 out of 10, given all the scaling. Obviously, it's going to slightly vary depending on which one you choose. But overall, I think C is really good, and having up to 46 on your bonus action is really, really nice. So I think that's great. Level 6, we get Storm Soul, and now we have a passive ability that is always on, and it changes depending on which type of weather we choose. So let's take a look at each of those. Desert is going to give us resistance to fire damage. Pretty good overall, like that'll be pretty applicable. We no longer suffer from the effects of extreme heat, much more situational, and we can touch flammable objects that aren't being held or worn and set those on fire. So that's pretty cool. That's flavorful, but also I could see that being useful. You know, you just have a bunch of cloth, set them on fire, and throw them at people and start doing some fire damage. I could see that happening. I could see some use for that. So, you know, this is much better than the 3rd level ability. Much more redemption happening for the desert. Let's see what the sea has. The sea gives us resistance to lightning damage, which is pretty situational, at least much more than fire. The ability to breathe underwater and a swim speed of 30 feet. That's really good. That's going to come up more than extreme heat, depending on your situation. So one thing you'll figure out about these is that they are very specific to where you are, to what type of campaign you're doing. But they can be switched on a level up. So I mean, that's pretty good, right? That's still pretty good, because if with a little bit of foresight, you could, if you're going into a volcano, you know, go ahead and switch over to desert. If you're going on a sea quest, if you're going out on the water, then you definitely take sea. And finally, if you're going somewhere cold, you can take the tundra. And so tundra gives us resistance to cold damage, and it also, we don't suffer from extreme cold. And as an action, we can freeze a 5-foot cube of water that will melt after 1 minute. Again, great if you're in the cold. Otherwise, completely useless. So yeah, I think that it's interesting, right? Because this is very situational, but when you are in each of these situations, you're going to really thrive. Being able to ignore extreme weather of each way is really nice, just because those can cause exhaustion. So that's kind of good that you're not suffering exhaustion if you don't have really warm clothes for cold, and then just heat, you're just kind of screwed. But yeah, this will allow you to do well in each of those. So that's really cool. I've got to give this a 7 out of 10. I think that it's very useful if you're in the right situation. Again, you might get caught with your pants down, just depending on where you're at, if you don't get a level up in the span that you need it. So that could be a little bit problematic, but overall, you should be able to have enough of foresight, unless something crazy goes down, to have what you need in whatever situation you're going into. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's going to be useful most of the time. I think C is going to be the most applicable, but at least these help cover your extremes, and so that's really nice. At 10th level, we get Shielding Storm, and so now we also get to pass the benefits of our passive aura over to our allies who are within our aura. So again, this is tough, right? Because our aura is only 10 feet. So how often is this going to work outside of combat? Not much, right? So like if we happen to get into underwater combat, you know, we can have the ability to breathe underwater if they're within 10 feet of us, but if they try to go off on their own, they lose that. They lose the swim speed. They lose all of those things. So you've got to be huddled around so closely. I really feel like that's a bit of a large restriction. I really would like for the range to scale to 30 feet once we hit level 14, but it doesn't. And you know, stuff like that does happen later, where you'll get something of a 10-foot radius and then it will eventually scale to 30 feet. I really wish that happened here, just to give a little bit more flexibility, because I feel like 10 feet is a little restrictive. Overall, this is going to be a 6 out of 10. It is great for helping your allies. If you are in a volcano and people are not properly prepared, then this can save their lives, literally. Same thing with extreme cold. This can save lives, but they have to be almost touching you in order to benefit from it. So I really feel like that's a bit of a problem. For me as a DM, I probably would would homebrew this to be a little bit larger once you get to high enough level. But yeah, as it is, 6 out of 10, unfortunately. Finally, at level 14, we get Raging Storm, and so this is going to allow us to further weaponize our aura, which is pretty great. So let's see what each of our options are here. So with the Desert, we get the ability to deal some fire damage as a reaction. So when we're hit with an attack by a creature that is within our aura, we can use our reaction to force a dexterity saving throw, and then if they fail, they take fire damage equal to half our Barbarian level. That's okay, I guess. You know, that's 7 damage right now, and it'll eventually get up to 10. So, I guess, you know, and it's using our reaction, so we can only do that once per turn, but it also is somewhat of like a sentinel attack when, you know, when normally it would be if it attacks somebody else, but this one has to attack you, but there's a saving throw, so it's worse than sentinel, so C allows us to force a strength saving throw after we hit a creature with an attack, which is pretty cool. But again, that also uses our reaction. I really wish that this was just part of our weapon attack, but it knocks them prone if they fail the strength save. And again, you're not limited to how many times you can do this, which is good. So you can keep doing this every turn and just, they stand back up and you knock them back down. And they stand up, and then you knock them back down. It also will end up creating your own advantage, which somewhat competes with Reckless, just because if you knock them prone, you're going to get advantage on that second strike, but you probably already had advantage because of Reckless attack, so you're kind of wasting as far as like being able to not be being hit with advantage, but you know, it is what it is. Then Tundra. Tundra actually activates with our 3rd level ability, so that's pretty interesting. So when we give out the temporary HP, this also comes into play, and it allows us to choose a creature within our aura, and actually, if they fail a strength save, take their speed to 0. That's pretty good, actually. It is until the start of your next turn, but then you could just do this again, and again, it's a bonus action to do this. So that's pretty good, right? Being able to just, as a bonus action, reduce somebody's speed to 0. I think that's nice. But again, they have to be within 10 feet of you. I would love for this to be 30 feet by now, but it's not. Overall, I think the C is still the best one here, but Tundra gives a really good run for the money, being able to reduce things to 0 speed. Overall, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. All of these are pretty useful. The Tundra one's good. The Desert one is okay, I guess, and the C one's good. But again, you could find a situation for all 3 of these, I really feel like. So I really like this ability. So where do we land on the Storm Herald? This one's tough, right? Because technically we've got 3 different subclasses built into one here, right? So it also depends on where you are in your campaign, because if you're in the cold and you take Tundra, you're going to be a standout. If you are in a volcano and you have the desert one, you're going to be a standout. If you have a water campaign and you take the sea, you're going to be a standout. So, you know, in these situational times, it's very, very nice to have. However, if you don't have the right one at the right time, you are gonna probably be a little sad with this one. But I can't deny that there are a lot of useful things that add to the Barbarian here. My biggest thing is that I wish that the aura scaled to 30 feet at level 14. I really feel like that would really be nice. And personally, I probably would homebrew it this way as a DM, just to give it a little bit more use and a better sense of scale. But let's go ahead and rank it based on what it is. I think this is a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's as good as the Ancestral Guardian. I don't think it's as good as the Beast. I think it's slightly under them, just because you could get caught in the wrong situation. And I think that those are much more consistent at what they do. This one is good. Like, there's a lot of useful stuff, but I think that this could vary depending on if you're in the right situation. This could go up from a 7. If you're in the wrong situation, this could go down significantly. So I'm going to give it a 7, but it could change depending on your campaign. So this could go up to an 8 or 9 if you're in the right spot. This could go down to a 4 or 5 if you're not. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So that is it for our look at the Storm Herald Barbarian. So 7 is a passing grade, and so we are going to be building one together on Thursday. So I hope you guys are subscribed so you don't miss that, of course. And then, of course, next week we're going on to another subclass, so don't miss that either. Until then, I hope you guys have a great week this week. Stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.